Hey, everybody, how's it going? We're live. Ben is closing a door at the moment. He's got his daughter in town, and there's a dog in the house. So you may hear a dog on today's Ben Joravsky show. Just saying. We may have an appearance from a dog on the Ben Joravsky show today. Oh, is that it?
Oh. Hey there, little Miss Riding Hood. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry.
All right. Well, he's in a mood, guys.
The big bad wolf.
All right. Your Ben Joravsky show, Thanksgiving Eve for Wednesday. Yeah. For Wednesday, wow. November 25th is just moments away. But before we do this, let's thank the following for sponsoring this podcast. Hey, Chicago Reader, thank you for sponsoring this program. For great information in the city of Chicago, what to do, where to go, what to drink, what to eat, what to think about certain politics, go check out the Chicago Reader, chicagoreader.com, and subscribe. A great way to help this program is subscribing to the Chicago Reader. Maybe write him a letter. Oh, that Ben Joravsky show, he's great. Give Ben more money, give Dennis more money, give him a car, you know?
Give him a blue Mustang.
Yeah. And Ben, we can share it on weekends. All right, so let's get today's show going here. You do have a Song of the Day request. It is from Frank. It is by The Happening, and the song is called See You in September.
Oh, my God. Frank, how do you know that song? Frank is young.
Yeah, Frank, how do you know this stuff? He's a millennial. He let us know. He let us know he's a millennial. Sorry, he let us know he was a millennial. Frank, seriously, how the hell do you know this song?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody knows this song except for me and Frank. See you in September. Oh, will I lose you? Something above. Wow. That's like the psychedelic version with the guitar coming in. Whoa. Jimmy Page playing guitar.
Yeah.
Sorry. See you in September. Will I lose you to the summer moon? I think it's the summer moon. Don't quote me, D.
Gobble, gobble. The Ben Joravsky show starts now. It is Wednesday, November 25th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, legendary Chicago journalist, Monroe Anderson. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist, Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Farewell to Dinkins Wednesday. And here's why. David Dinkins died the other day. He was 93 years old. Who is David Dinkins, you ask? I don't blame you for asking that, folks. His prominence was a long time ago, and there's so many years of lost to time. So don't worry about not knowing who David Dinkins is if you don't know who David Dinkins is. He's the former mayor of New York City, and it was a really big deal when he got elected in 1989. He was the first black man elected mayor of New York City, and he was the last black man elected mayor of New York City. Come on, New York. Got to pick up the pace a little bit there. The official rendition in the New York Times obituary, it's a long obituary, and it honoring Dinkins, but the official rendition is that at the time Dinkins took office, New York City was falling apart. Quote, exhausted by racial strife, corruption, crime, and fiscal turmoil. And so voters turned to Dinkins because he was calm and cautious and deliberate. Folks, I've never lived in New York City, but I have family there and I visit there all the time. So I can tell you that it's really not all that much different than Chicago, just bigger and more sure of itself. None of that second city anxiety, insecurity that we have.
Less alleys,
garbage on the sidewalks. Yeah, New York's a little different than Chicago, but really those are superficial differences. So in New York, as in Chicago, you have to ask, when is either city not, quote, exhausted by racial strife, corruption, crime, and fiscal turmoil, when that just seems to be the nature of cities? In fact, when I read that New York Times description of the New York City that Dinkins inherited in 1989, I thought they were talking about Chicago right now. All in all, I think Dinkins did a pretty good job. As just me watching from afar. According to the New York Times, he hired more cops, which people wanted. He balanced the budget. He helped foster development deals. The rich got even richer, so I don't know why they're complaining. But it was that racial strife that did him in. A black child was killed by a funeral motorcade for an Orthodox Jewish rabbi, and one thing led to another, and riots broke out, and everybody blamed Dinkins for something or other. Black people blamed him for pandering to white people, and white people blamed him for not forcefully denouncing black people. And Rudy Giuliani, yes, that Rudy Giuliani pounded that discontent like a drum and defeated Dinkins in 1993. So it was just one term for Dinkins. A headline in the Washington Post sort of summed it all up. Is David Dinkins too nice for New York? Well, Giuliani wasn't nice. He was the schmuck then that he is now. And folks said, well, that's what we need, a tough mayor. Tough guy, hard ass, not afraid to insult other people. Don't insult us, of course, just insult other people. And you know, folks, that's another way Chicago is much like New York. That sounds so Chicago. I read that headline, that Washington Post headline, is David Dinkins too nice for New York? And it was like, oh my God, that's like something I would read in the Sun-Times or the Tribune. Like I said, that's like such a mainstream idea. We need a tough mayor. Chicago loves tough mayors. We love mayors that cuss and insult each other, insult other people, mock other people, make threats. We don't want nice guys. So we have Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, telling Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, don't come to me for shit if you don't vote for my budget. And Northsiders are like, Ben, you know, Mayor Lori Lightfoot's got a point. You got to be tough. Northsiders love it when mayors are tough on Southsiders. Ever notice that? They don't want mayors to be tough on them. Just be tough on everybody else in the city. Okay. It's as though toughness ever once healed racial strife, eradicated corruption, or put the fiscal house in order. As for crime, I've been hearing people lamenting the fact that police can't just lock people up on a whim anymore. Folks, I've been living in Chicago since 1981. They were locking people up on a whim all throughout the 80s and all throughout the 90s. Mass arrests. ACLU was always going to court to try to keep the city of Chicago's police from just mass arresting people. And then if they would win, it would be a temporary victory, and you'd hear there'd be articles in the newspaper, police muttering, we can't do our jobs anymore. Remember Mayor Rahm? Police are in a fetal position. And Mayor Rahm said that all of a sudden he's a big expert on crime. Police are scared to do the job. So it's like, you know, as long as I've been here, there's been crime in Chicago. There's crime in every city. There's crime in every part of this country. We're a very violent country. So like, when does clubbing people in the head ever stop crime? Just saying, maybe there's another way. Maybe want to try another way. And as near as I could tell, David Dinkins tried, and he was repudiated. And here's the funny thing. Time was nicer to Dinkins than it has been to his successor. Old leaky hair Rudy. You remember that press conference last week? Because I won't let you forget it. The dye dripping down his face. Not dye, excuse me, hairdressers. The hairspray. It was like the cheap paint that he sprayed on this gray. Dude, just let everybody knows you got gray hair. Just let your freak flag fly. And all you had to spray
you're bald. You're bald. Just shave that sucker. Come on. Get those clippers out.
Larry David, if I may interrupt this, disagrees with you on that point. He goes, people who shave their heads are trying to cover up their baldness.
Ah, yes. The psychotic Larry David disagrees with you.
Anyway, where was it? Oh, yeah. Time has been better to Dinkins than it has been to his successor, old leaky hair Rudy. He's now a national joke. Rudy Giuliani is a punchline, a buffoon, a clown. Reading the New York Times obituary, I get the feeling that New Yorkers may be just a little sheepish for the way they scorn Dinkins and worship Rudy. Well, better late now than ever. New Yorkers, show the man some respect. Rest in peace, Mayor Dinkins. We got a great show today, everybody. Monroe Anderson will be here. Well, Trump talk. We still got Trump around. Trump. He's shifting into Biden talk. No big surprise. I talked to him before we went on air. He's a lot more optimistic about Biden. I know this is going to stun you, D, than he is about Donald Trump.
Wow. Whoa.
No, that's a shocker. And so we'll bring Monroe. I gave Monroe a shout out today in the Tribune. I was looking at the Tribune. In the Reader newsletter, I gave him all the credit for Trump's losing, because he's been trash talking Trump since Trump took office. I go, those are vibrations that he sent out, that influenced the election. That's why Joe Biden won. So, Mike, Monroe Anderson will be here, take a victory lap, get down to business, talk about Joey B and Donald Trump. Before we do that, the young man from home, the man that Rudy Giuliani, David Dinkins, and Monroe Anderson
all of them
fondly call Dr. D, with the news.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, before we go any further, we got to talk about our Thanksgiving schedule. We've kind of not talked about that at all. So let's run our Thanksgiving lineup down for everybody real quick here. Thanksgiving schedule tomorrow. No live regular Ben Joravsky show, all right? But you will be able to download a brand new, never before heard interview at chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, Joravsky, as in Victory, SKY, or wherever else you download podcasts. And, if you're not sure what the hell to do tomorrow, a.k.a. the strangest Thanksgiving ever, well, we got a Benny J Turkey Day exclusive. It's 20th Ward Alderwoman JT Jeanette Taylor one-on-one with Ben Joravsky. It's going to be available by 5 a.m. tomorrow. So that is our Thanksgiving plan. Ben, it was a great conversation with Jeanette, wasn't it?
Absolutely. JT was in rare form. This was right after the city council vote. Well, not right after. It was a couple hours after the budget vote. And she voted against the budget. So she talks about the budget, why she was against it. She talks about some of the tough words coming out of Lori Lightfoot directed at her. And she makes her response. And let's just put it this way. JT is not backing down. So Jeanette Taylor, good friend of the show, got a lot of respect for her. And it was sort of it was an interesting interview coming right after the budget, because I don't think Jeanette Taylor or Mayor Lori Lightfoot knows where the city is going in the coming year in terms of where the money is going to come from to pay the bills. It's sort of like a punt budget. So anyway, JT talks about that and much more. And also what she wants from Joe Biden, and a few Rom comments. Ooh, JT.
And guys, few Rom comments, that, and yes, for those wondering, there is cursing, okay? So that's definitely in there.
Yeah, there's. Well, I mean, we're just quoting Lori Lightfoot. You know, she was the one who started it. Yeah. Just saying, D.
So I don't know if you're hanging out with your grandma virtually this Thanksgiving, maybe not play that Jeanette Taylor interview. Boy, there's some F-bombs. So just get ready. All right.
D, I got news for you.
What?
Grandma, she curses like a sailor. Get that beep out of my beep. I mean, I don't know. No one grandma doesn't curse. That's the funny thing. And the older people get, this is going to surprise you, D, the more they curse.
Oh, wait.
I've been down this road, okay? I've seen.
What kind of foul-mouthed people do you hang with? I know plenty of elder people who don't curse. Dead gum? Dad gum? They, use words like that to replace the curse words. Dad gummit!
Remember I try to do that? I try to use the words. I think "gol dang" is "gol dang it, D."
Gol dang. All right, so that's what's going on tomorrow. All right, Jeanette Taylor. It was a great interview. No show on Friday. All right, but Ben and myself, we're gonna record something. We're just gonna call it a free for all Friday. See what the hell happens. Just throw some stuff on the wall. Isn't that right, Ben?
We did it last year, and it was a big hit. So I'm sure it's going to work again this year. Free for all Friday.
So, hey, if you're listening to this and you have a question for the show, feel free to weigh in. There's several ways you can do that. I prefer you do it through email, but you can reach out at Benny J Show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com, BENNY, the letter J, show. And you can call us, 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. We'll play some voicemails if we got them. We'll read some emails if we get them. We'll talk about the future of the show, I'm imagining. Maybe one of Ben's columns. So much stuff, all right, we can talk about. We're calling it a free-for-all Friday, and we're just going to throw that sucker up on Friday. On Saturday, Ben, what do we have in that pre-show meeting planned for Saturday?
Neil Salas Griffin.
That's right.
Neil Salas Griffin. So we're going to continue City So Real sort of series we're doing on it. Steve James, the director of the movie City So Real. And then Neil Salas Griffin, you may not remember him. He ran for mayor. One of the lesser known candidates. People didn't know who he was. A young computer genius. He built his own software company, and now he's a professor at Northwestern. And it was just such a long shot campaign. And he was the one in the movie. He's the one in real life. I act like it was, sometimes it's like the movie is more real than real life. But he was the candidate that Willie Wilson and Ricky Hendon tied up in knots in the process of examining his petition signatures. Really shows, in my humble opinion, one of the great flaws with our system. I've been pounding the drum against the way we allow election challenges. I'm much more libertarian on this point. And so when you see what they did to Neil Salas Griffin, what they did to Jamal Green, what Tony Preckwinkle's people tried to do to Lori Lightfoot, it's all in the movie. It's depicted in the movie. A lot of Chicagoans didn't know about it. I don't even write it. Sometimes it gets frustrating. I was just talking to a Chicagoan yesterday of the North Side Persuasion. And he was saying, well, until I saw that movie, I didn't realize that this kind of thing went on again. I go, well, thanks for reading my columns all these years. I've only written like 5 billion of them, but whatever. Hey, Steve James, you got through to that guy. So congratulations. Anyway, and so we'll talk to Neil Salas Griffin. And in the end, Ricky Hendon dropped the case against him and allowed Neil Salas Griffin to remain on the ballot. So we're going to get to Neil Salas Griffin's thoughts on the whole process and where Chicago's going. And then next week, we're going to bring Ricky on. Ricky Hendon will be coming on, and the master of the process, the master of the election challenges. Love talking politics with Ricky Hendon, D. So I'm really looking forward to that one. One of my good radio buddies, Ricky Hendon, will be here Wednesday as we continue the City So Real series. So Neil Salas Griffin will be the interview that gets dropped on Saturday.
Oh, Neil Salas Griffin, a little side story. Neil Salas Griffin, I think he had like an office above us at the Sun-Times, didn't he? We were going down the steps, and he was going down the steps, we were going up, and we're like, oh, hey, Neil Salas Griffin, what's going on? Remember that?
He is truly one of the really nice people. I just got finished talking about David Dinkins and what a class act he was, and how it just seems like, I don't even know if how widespread it is. It just seems like the people who dominate the mainstream media have this view, and maybe they're expressing the view of cynical Chicagoans. You got to have a mean person be mayor. Can't be nice. And Neil's just like the kind of guy that's like, hey, how you doing? He seems like he genuinely likes you and wants to know how you're doing. And he would always say, I go, Neil, I got to get you on the show. I got to get you on the show. He goes, let's have coffee first. You always call that. Let's have coffee first. Just like, let's break bread or socialize or something. Really compassionate man from the south side of Chicago, Mount Carmel High School, and did very well for himself in the computer industry, and decided, he wanted to be mayor of Chicago, having never run for office before. So good guy. Yeah, we'd see him I could still see him. Yeah, those are the good old days, D, before the pandemic. We'd go to our beloved little studio. Yeah. And I'd be going up those back stairs. I loved the back stairs because I hated the elevator. And Neil would be going down this, hey, Ben, how you doing? How's the family?
Yeah,
love Neil Salas Griffin.
Pre-pandemic days when you can go and get coffee with someone randomly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, hey, you want to get coffee? What are you, a monster? Get away from me. I want to have a coffee with 6 feet.
Yeah,
all right. So Saturday, our City So Real series continues with Neil Salas Griffin. On Sunday, we're going to throw up a best of one of our favorite interviews throughout the year. Probably Troy LaRaviere. I think we were talking about that before the show today. So if you've heard that Troy LaRaviere interview, hey, go check out the archive, all right? We got over 700 episodes. I looked. Over 700 episodes of the Ben Joravsky Show. Maybe scroll through there, the archive, and listen to a show you may have missed. And so that's Sunday. On to Monday, this will be available at 5 a.m. ChicagoReader.com/Joravsky or wherever else you download podcasts. We caught up with our dear friend and Ben Joravsky Show senior editor. I literally just made up that title. Pat Whalen. Yes.
Yeah, it's a funny interview.
We talked with Pat Whalen last night. I recorded it, so we're going to post that. He's an actor. He's hilarious, and we're proud to call him our friend, especially since he was the star of a recent FanDuel commercial. Okay, yes. Actually, the star is actually some gigantic football player, but the glue that held it all together was one Patrick Whalen. Hoo-ah!
Yeah. What?
We also had a Ben
inside joke.
We also had a Ben Joravsky Show first during this interview. Yes, a first. Listen as a guest for the first time. 2 firsts, actually. For the first time during an interview, feeds their dog. Yes. And then a guest for the first time walks away from their computer and keeps talking. And also a slightly startled Ben Joravsky. Yeah, he just rolls with it, all right? Hoo-ah!
No, see, young Patrick, one of our younger guests, I guess. He's very computer proficient. So it's like, Ben, I got the setup here, okay? I got the wireless mic. You don't worry about it. This is like millennial stuff you wouldn't understand. You're just be a nice old baby boomer and eat your oatmeal, okay? So I don't know what happened. Mr. Millennial, Mr. I know computers, didn't plug it in or something. So he's walking around his apartment thinking I can hear him. And I'm like, have you lost your mind? Has Pat Whalen officially lost his... Dude, he gets up. I'm watching him on the screen, Google Meet. I can see him. He gets up so I can see him do this. And walk over, and you can hear him. He's still talking. I go, I think he's gone insane. I think he has lost his mind. Funny.
I thought it was like an Andy Kaufman-esque like kind of bit. You know what I mean? Like talking and,
But I'll tell you, folks, a little something that Dr. D told me many years ago when I broke into this game. He said, son, come here. You're a rookie. I've been at this a while. I went to radio school, okay? I went to radio school. That plum over there, radio school. So no matter what, keep talking. Remember that? That was the first thing you and Yoda told me.
Yeah.
Keep talking. Don't matter. It doesn't matter. First day, I had a show. The phone didn't work. Karen Lewis. Ben, are you there? Hangs up. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we'll get her back. I'm just sitting there. And Yoda's like, what are you doing, man? You got to keep talking. So, yeah, man, I just kept talking because I'm a pro now, just like Yoda, Dr. D.
Hell yeah.
Pat Whalen was in the FanDuel commercial with Jamie Harrison, the great linebacker for Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's fun stuff with Pat Whalen.
Yes, it's our Pat Whalen interview. That'll be on Monday, 5 a.m., ChicagoReader.com/Joravsky or wherever else you download podcasts. Go check them out, download them, tell your friends. All right, let's do the local news, and we begin with the governor. Today, take a wild guess as to what Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is up to today. What's that? Oh, beefing up on his Illinois history?
Illinois is a state with a grand history of profound impact on our nation and our world.
Well, he could be doing that later today. He really loves Illinois.
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
All right, dude, we believe you. Calm down. We believe you. Chill out, dude.
He loves Illinois, man. And what's that to love about Illinois, D? I show some respect for your home state. You're from Alton.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Now, obviously, today the governor is delivering his 2:30 COVID-19 update virtually, all right? A quick update on Tuesday's pandemic briefing. Pritzker urged local governments to apply for COVID-19 relief grants before the December 1st deadline. Governor, I'm curious, COVID-19 grants, what could that include?
That can include everything from overtime payroll for first responders or local human services, or PPE, plexiglass dividers, and more.
And how many have yet to take this?
We still have more than 350 local government units that have not taken the simple yet necessary steps to claim their dollars. Funding which could help with offsetting basic costs for payroll and PPE and contact tracing and other essential costs for their emergency response.
Fascinating.
It is so fast. Do you love this new thing you're doing? I love this thing. Just really brings back those memories I was talking about yesterday. Gotta get a woman, gotta get a woman. Anyway, that's a memory that's really buried deep.
No, what it is if you can find that audio, it's just if you put in Pritzker audio, it'll take you to like the government website, and they have like little sound bites, and those sound bites, they're like, just one big chunk, and there's that moment of space. So I just kind of add a little something in there,
Well, I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate Governor Pritzker doing it, making his comments. I have a feeling that the country is officially checked out on COVID. It's like over and done with it. Get that feeling a lot. Not me, okay? Just saying, the country as a whole. I'm still pretty scared. But I think like a lot of people, a lot of skeptics out there, D, like the half the country that voted for Donald Trump, or 48%, not quite half. And then within the people who voted for Biden, there's rules for thee, not for me crowd, which at one point or another pretty much includes everybody that voted for Joe Biden. So I give Pritzker credit. He's still doing what he's supposed to do, and he's doing it virtually. So happy Thanksgiving, J.B. Pritzker. How about that, D?
Oh, I like that.
I didn't vote for him in the primary, I always point out. But I think he's done a good job as governor of the state of Illinois, dealing, as I always point out, with a very rabid bunch that detests him. Okay? And he keeps his cool. He tries to be polite to everybody. And I was talking about Dinkins and how Dinkins tried to treat everybody with respect. Talk about Neil Salas Griffin, how Neil Salas Griffin had a nice thing to say or courteous thing to say to everybody he meets. Not everyone in politics is a rabid lunatic jerk. Not everybody. Some people try to be respectful of others. And so I think we should take a moment to thank Governor Pritzker for having a different standard than a lot of other politicians in this state. And I'll leave it at that, D, for the moment.
All right, for the moment.
For the moment.
Also, state officials made one more plea for everyone to stay at home and to celebrate Thanksgiving virtually. Here's Department of Health official Dr. Ezike with a few tips on how to approach family members about not getting together for the holiday.
Have a conversation with your guests. Everyone might be too timid to bring up the conversation and say that they're really having second thoughts and that they're really thinking about what the CDC and what all the public health officials are saying.
But wait, there's more.
Really commit that you will separate households within that space. Commit that if you're not actively eating or drinking, that you will have a mask on in the house. Commit that if the weather allows, you will move everything outdoors.
Yes, commit. I'm with her 100%. And D, what are you going to be doing for Thanksgiving? Do you know?
I'm just going to be hanging with my girlfriend and her mother for Thanksgiving. So.
All right. Well, practice what the doctor said. All right. Everybody far away. And when you're not eating or drinking, wear a mask. Like I said, I appreciate very much the fact that Pritzker and his advisors have not officially just raised the flag on. I probably would have done that a long time ago. God help us, if I'm the governor. I'd be like, you know what, guys, you're on your own. I try to get you to do the right thing, and you consistently do the wrong thing. So you know what? Just go do whatever you want to do. I don't care about you. Just do what you want to do. That really wouldn't work too well, I guess. Could you imagine that if some politician were actually, I'm just so sick and tired of you. That would be like the first stage towards like a breakdown, and that would be shown over and over again. People would be sharing it on the internet or whatever. So I give Pritzker and his aides credit for having some patience with all of us.
All right, now to the news in the city of Chicago. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was at City Hall this morning for her 9 a.m. not virtual COVID-19 update. JB, you're making everyone else look bad with these virtual things, man. Come on. And if anyone noticed a little pep in the mayor's step this morning, I mean, I didn't. I really didn't seem like the same old mayor to me. But if you did, that's probably because she just got her budget passed by City Hall yesterday. We have a few highlights from the mayor's press briefing. While positive test results are high at the moment, the mayor does see a light at the end of the tunnel.
The doctor said it. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we are still in the tunnel. So there's more work that we need to be doing every single day.
1 in 17 Chicagoans might have it. That number seems really high.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. We are starting to see, again, breakthrough. There have been people who understood it and got it and followed it from the very beginning back in March. But as we saw over the course of the summer and we saw cases go down, people relaxed. And then this thing of COVID fatigue, I think, became real. We have tried now for 6+ weeks to really reinforce to folks, this is a second surge. It is real. It is still as dangerous as ever.
The mayor then stated that restaurants are not to blame for the recent uptick in positive test results.
Dr. Laura really emphasized this point of what he's seeing every single day from a clinical perspective and how sick people are at all ages, all demographics. So I don't think we can or should blame the restaurant industry. That's just not right.
Thank you, Mayor. So to recap, It's not the restaurant's fault for being open. It's our fault for going to them. Got it.
What a piece of work is man. I think Shakespeare said that. Laura, it's not the restaurant. Don't blame the restaurants. Because did I tell you, Sammy Toya, who's the head of the Restaurant Association, is one of my dear friends, and they big fundraisers for me, and they support me. Don't blame the restaurants. Blame the people who go to the restaurants. Oh, okay. So it's the people who go to the restaurant's fault, not the people who run the restaurants. Got it? Don't blame the bars either, except for the people who go to the bars. You got that? Dennis said this early, and it's absolutely true. So many mixed messages. Don't blame the restaurants. Open the schools. That's the other huge mixed message. I read these articles all the time. We'll be talking about this, D, until they come up with a vaccine for the virus. Should we open the schools? Should we not open the schools? I just like to point this out. Then the articles, the people who are saying we should open the schools are always saying stuff like this, how children are falling behind and how it just exacerbates the differences, the advantages that wealthy kids have over poor kids and the disadvantages that poor kids have in contrast to wealthy kids. And I agree. This has been you talk about stuff that's been around forever. This is an age-old problem. Isn't that funny? Nobody ever wanted to do much about it when there wasn't a pandemic. Now they use it as an excuse to open the schools. Let's just throw them back in the building. Well, maybe it'll spread. No. We've done studies, clinical tests. They always use clinical tests. All of a sudden, everybody's a doctor or a scientist. The epidemiology. Uh-oh. Where are they going with that word? So somehow or other, it's okay to have schools open. Of course, you're not the person who's going to be standing in the classroom with the kid, right? Or you're not most likely the person at home who's old and vulnerable when the child returns home. Somehow or other, that's okay. And somehow or other, you can't blame the restaurants. Everybody has their own little sacred cow in this whole thing. So, Lori Lightfoot, look, I don't blame her. Restaurants, big players in this town. Quote the Big Lebowski, they carry a lot of water in this town. It's a huge part of the economy. A lot of people employed in restaurants. I personally have done my share to keep restaurants going. I'm always eating in them. I love restaurants and restaurant owners. So I'm with you, Lori Lightfoot. I understand. But come on. You got some guy has a party. You're all ready to like throw that guy under the bus. That guy's terrible. But don't blame the restaurants. Got that, D?
Got it.
The people at the lakefront who are playing soccer, they're bad. The people at the lakefront who are flying those kites, they're really bad. The people at the lakefront who are just kind of walking slowly down pick up the pace.
And we did see one guy walking, but we found out he owned a restaurant, so he's good.
Yeah, that's right. Restaurant's good. Got that, everybody? Restaurant's good. All the rest of you, bad. Okay? And Grandma at Thanksgiving, go sit in a corner. All right? Don't come near anybody. But it's okay to go to a restaurant. I remember this one. Like, before we went into this current phase where you're not allowed to sit down and dine, it was like a Wednesday or something like that. We talked about this with Miles. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said, well, we still have 2 days before restaurants are officially closed, so go support your restaurants. I'm like, what kind of message? Wait, why is it okay today, but suddenly Friday? You know what I'm saying? Go support your restaurants. Either it's not safe to go to a restaurant or it's safe to go to a restaurant. I don't know. D, the mixed messages. I don't get them. I'm kind of lost here. I'm just hiding out in my attic.
Yeah,
man,
guys, just stay home. Stay home.
Hey, I got my fire pits. I'm okay. I can't complain.
All right. Mayor Lightfoot also did her part in getting the word out this pandemic Thanksgiving. Stay home, save lives, and visit your family virtually. She recently took part in a promotional PSA to spread the word. A PSA featuring a handful of Illinois mayors pretending to be on the phone talking to a family member. They're obviously not talking to an actual family member in this PSA.
Yes.
But more specifically in this PSA, our Chicago mayor delivers a heartfelt NBC This Is Us-esque performance underneath some very, very piano-y heartfelt music.
We usually spend Thanksgiving together, but I'm glad you understand that this is the right thing.
Lightfoot joined other Illinois mayors, including Highland Park Mayor Nancy Rotering, with her phone lit up on the home screen, so obviously not on the phone with anyone.
I'm really going to miss celebrating my birthday with you, but I'll save you a piece of cake. I'll freeze it.
Frozen cake. Darian...
Can I have some of that frozen? It's like a popsicle. Frozen cake.
I'm really going to miss celebrating my birthday with you, but I'll save you a piece of cake. I'll freeze it.
Okay, well, warm it up before you bring it over, please.
Can I put it in the microwave? Wait, whoa, frozen. That'll give me something to look forward to. Come visit you. Get that frozen cake. Hey, why you don't need ice cream when you got frozen cake, D? Because it's already frozen. It's already cold.
Right. Also in the ad, Darien, Illinois Mayor Joseph Marchese.
Hi, Jan. This is Joe.
Oh, hey, Joe. Mayor Tyrone Ward of Robbins, Illinois.
Yes, that's correct. I cannot be there, but in spirit always.
Well, he sounds like a nice feller. And Broadview, Illinois Mayor Katrina Thompson.
We can't see one another. I love you, and we will call you about 4 o'clock on Thanksgiving, okay?
And for the record, she probably did the best job of acting out of all of them.
Oh, God. Do you have more in this one, D?
Well, but just before 2020 comes to a close, our Chicago mayor takes the award for best fake phone call. Here's more Here's more from the mayor.
This is the right thing to do, even though it's a hard thing to do. Of course, I'll give your love to Amy and Viv and Hank. All right, love you, Mom. We'll talk on Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Wait for the deep breath. Damn! That was fun.
I'm sorry, man. That was... Oh, Lord. Oh, God, guys. You have to see the video, really, to appreciate it. Because none of these people are actors. And so they're clearly acting. We should bring Pat Whalen on, our show's resident actor, to analyze these performances. So it's like they give him a cell phone, and they go, okay, so you just pretend you're talking to your mother or your grandmother or somebody you've left alone at home. They're all alone. Just how much you miss them. And I don't know, with any kind of planning, I mean, I'm just saying, like kind of like if you hadn't gone anywhere for 2 or 3 weeks and you did a test, you could see them. I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I'm saying? They just little planning. You could have seen your grandmother. You could have invited her, just like, we're going to have like 2-week period where we're not going out. We're just going to stay at home. And so we could get to see each other. And maybe, like Pritzker said, when we get together, we don't hug or, we try not to have fights and yell at each other and get face to face, spray in each other's face, just saying. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like the old jaded, cynical observer that I sometimes find myself being, but wow, I was watching the one where Lori Lightfoot, she hangs up the phone and you got to see it, folks. She just sits there and looks like, and you can hear the director. Okay, now when you finish the phone conversation, you look off in the distance, really wistfully, like you're thinking about your favorite Thanksgiving moment. And don't think about the time that Uncle Billy got into a fight with Uncle Bobby and they threw the apple pie at each other. That's the other thing, the unsaid in all this. No families ever fight when it comes to the holidays. Families love to get together at the holidays. I know a lot of families, I don't know, if I never see these people again, it's too soon. I know a few families in this country, and no names will be mentioned, who are like dropping to their knees and going, thank you, pandemic. Thank you. I don't have to see Uncle Billy Bob this year.
And Pat Whalen, enjoy your time in the spotlight while you can, all right? Because this mayor's coming for those acting gigs.
That's correct.
We usually spend Thanksgiving together, but I'm glad you understand that this is the right thing. This is the right thing to do, even though it's a hard thing to do. Of course, I'll give your love to Amy and Viv and Hank. All right, love you, Mom. We'll talk on Thanksgiving.
All right, wait for the deep breath at the end. Acting, guys. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Wow. Was that Meryl Streep? Wow.
Was that Dawson's Creek?
And here's the funny thing, they're just talking on their phones. But what if accidentally, without thinking about it, they called somebody? You know what I mean? It's happened to me. Like they have their phones, and they don't have their phones on speaker. They all have their phones against their ear. So like sometimes I've actually done that. Dan, I don't know if you ever done that. Like I put it against my ear and I call somebody or something. So if like what if you heard somebody on the other side? Hello? Who's this? What are you calling me for? Is that you, Lori?
No, and
oh my God, the Highland Park mayor. That was
the mayor from Highland Park, Nancy Rodering, when she went to do her phone call, she just hung it up like an actual phone with a cord on it. She's like, all right, bye, and just slams it. Doesn't hit a button.
Oh my God.
Good
Nancy Rodering, good guest. She came on our show. Remember, she was running for Attorney General.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she was a thespian. Okay, I would have had her read Shakespeare.
I love that line about frozen cake. My God.
here's a suggestion. Why not make another cake? You know what I mean? You can eat the cake that you were going to serve them at Thanksgiving, and then 6 months later, make another cake. Or just go to the Jewel and get a cake. I'm sure there'll be plenty of cakes. No, I'm going to freeze that cake and keep it forever. That cake will be in the refrigerator for the next 10 years.
I'm really going to miss celebrating my birthday with you, but I'll save you a piece of cake. I'll freeze it.
I can keep it. It's cool.
One time my wife made fish that was absolutely terrible, but I didn't want to say anything bad about it, and because she cooked, I was like, oh, this fish. And she was like, yeah, the fish. And so she goes, we really hardly ate any of it. And so she goes, I know what I'll do. I'll freeze it so that, it'll be ready. We can have it some other time. And that was when our old apartment, and we moved out 2 years later. We were clearing out the freezer. Guess what was in there, D? That fish. Anyway, so that cake will be in the Mayor Rodering's freezer for as long as.
By the way, we do have a frozen cake defender on the live stream chat. Shout out to Jeff Biss saying frozen cake is cool.
Okay. Okay. I'm just saying, I just think it's a practical, pragmatic alternative. You might consider making a new cake or buying a cake. There's no need to keep the frozen cake. Oh God.
Oh,
that's
and
funny.
Yes, added to the catalog of That's Correct audio drops, that Tyrone guy, the mayor.
That's correct.
All right. Welcome aboard, Tyrone.
That's right. I hadn't thought of that. Mueller. Robert Mueller. That's correct.
So now we got Mueller, Darren Bailey, and this feller.
That's correct.
Hell yeah.
Oh, God. Guys, that's not COVID. That's just me coughing. So,
all right.
That was.
We got more Chicago news to talk about here. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times in Brett Chase. The headline reads, concerns about General Iron's move to Southeast Side are unfounded, Lightfoot administration says. Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration dismissed Southeast Side residents' concerns about pollution from a planned car shredding operation as, quote, unfounded, and accused community groups of creating a, quote, blizzard of hyperbolic allegations. In a letter to federal officials, a city lawyer defended the administration's role in relocating General Iron's business from Lincoln Park to East Side and admonishes residents critical of the move. Ben, I'll read this quote from City Deputy Corporation Counsel John Hendricks in his letter sent late last week to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and you take it from there. Here's the quote. Quote, allegations about negative environmental impact of the additions and improvements to the facility are factually unfounded. Ben, I know you had this on your mind today, so share your thoughts.
Yeah, this requires a little backup, and I'm going to have to get serious now and try to get the image of the frozen cake out of my mind, which is still there. I have to make that transition. From Mayor Lori Lightfoot's brilliant. Sorry, D. I got to get serious here. Okay. I'm sorry. I just see that image of her looking at the phone. Anyway.
We usually spend Thanksgiving together, but I'm glad you understand that this is the right thing.
Okay, I can do this. All right. And then the sigh. And I can just hear the director cut. Ah, that was brilliant. That's golden. That's a wrap. And Mayor Lightfoot's like, God, I love acting. I always wanted to be an actor. Anyway. Oh, yes. General Iron. So, General Iron operates a shredding business north side of Chicago for years. And it was on the banks of the Chicago River off of Clybourne. I don't know if people are listening to this from Chicago. A lot of people out of town don't know what I'm talking about. North side of Chicago in an industrial area. And guess what happened, folks? That industrial area gentrified. Starting back in the 80s, well-to-do yuppies moved in there. And the home values soared. And it became like a new gentry in Chicago. And I remember when I first moved to Chicago in the 1980s, the powers that be in this city said they have to put in zoning to protect the industry in that area because it's so important to the city of Chicago to have a manufacturing base. We cannot chase out our manufacturing base. And meanwhile, gentry starting to move in the neighborhood around this area. And what do? They complain. They moved there. The industry was there before they were there, right? The trucks were there. The giant shredding machine was there. All the debris and was there before they were there, but they couldn't stand it. And they said it was intrusive, and they said it was smelly, and they said it was pollutants that were in the air that might impact their health. If like you've had asthma or any kind of lung conditions or anything like that, there's no good. And they complain, and their aldermen were very compliant. Oh my God, Brian Hopkins, the alderman of the Second Ward, which is the area around it. He's like always standing up and denouncing them. Michelle Smith, the 43rd Ward, always, they got to be better neighbors. This is not right. These are good people. So what happened? The city of Chicago decided, you know what? This land is prime real estate land, and there's a developer named Sterling Bay that wants to develop it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to raise taxes on all the suckers and saps in the city of Chicago, and we're going to develop this land and turn it into Lincoln Yards. And if we do that, we got to move this shredder. We can't have a freaking shredder right there, right across the street from Lincoln Yards. Perhaps we wanted that land too. So they decided, well, where do we move it? Well, I know. We'll just dump it on the far southeast side. They don't care. They got waste dumps down there. They got old factory sites down there. Nobody will complain. And guess what? The people complain. You know, we don't want more. If it's not good, if it's bad for the north side, why do you think it would be good for the south side? And so what's the city's response? Oh, God, they're unfounded. There's nothing wrong with this thing. Shut up and take it. Attorney Hendricks. Oh, but he's a compassionate guy. Attorney Hendricks. You know, in a million years, I don't think Attorney Hendricks or anybody in the city of Chicago would respond that way if the complaints were coming from the north side. I can't imagine the city's official response to Northsiders complaining about dirt, debris, and industry would be, these are unfounded complaints by people who've exaggerated them. I just can't imagine that, D. So this is kind of the attitude that's embedded in the city of Chicago, how you treat different neighborhoods. I say keep it on the north side and move Lincoln Yards to the south side. There we go. I figured it out, D. Just move Lincoln Yards to the south side and keep the shredder on the north side.
Oh, you will never get a job with these people.
Well, we knew that. So anyway, I saw that story, D, and I go, oh my God. You know, I mean, I don't know. You could just like disguise your utter contempt for the Southsiders a little bit. You know, you could say, well, we are very concerned and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they're a good neighbor. And, you know, you don't have to like insult the people. You know, they're like, just imagine Lori Lightfoot or John Hendricks if they were going to put the shredder in your neighborhood, like right across the street from you or just down the street. Think how you would feel. Would you want somebody from the city insulting you? Oh, shut up. Take the shredder. Yeah, so I don't know. This gets at the heart of the things that Jeanette Taylor has talked so much about in the interview. It's like a different attitude that people in Chicago have toward the neighborhoods of our city. You know, oh, South Side, oh, they should be happy. We'll put the shredder down there. Yeah. What do they care? It's the South Side. So I don't know. I would just say maybe try, if you are going to cram it on the South Side, if it's not good enough for the North Side, you got to move it somewhere. At least change your attitude a little bit, you know? Show a little compassion, maybe. Maybe lawyers, you know what you should do? You should watch that video of all the mayors talking about how sad they are that they can't get together with their families for Thanksgiving, and just kind of like let that compassion seep into you, and then sit down and write your letter to the federal government. God, I got to tell you, D, it's pretty bad when the Trump federal government looks more caring than the city of Chicago. Pretty bad. Pretty bad, to quote Larry David.
All right. On a side note, by the way, you ever notice how the word iron, the spelling and the pronunciation are different? Kind of weird, right? You would think iron is how you would, but we say iron. Isn't that weird?
You know, I never noticed that. Yeah, it is. And you figure it would really screw me up with my dyslexia. But remember the Scott Duff dyslexia joke? What was the joke? Do you remember? No. Forget it.
No, I don't.
That was an interview I did with Scott Duff, the comedian Scott Duff. Very funny man. On Sunday, when I mentioned my dyslexia, and he made a dyslexia joke. Anyway,
you can download that interview.
You
can download that interview with Scott Duff at the Chicago Reader website, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky. Just bookmark it right now. And wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Over 700 episodes of The Ben Joravsky Show. While we're away for the holiday, go check some of those out, and be sure to check out our brand new interviews. Jeanette Taylor is going to be dropping on Thanksgiving Day. A little Turkey Day surprise for you there. Alderman Jeanette Taylor, a brand new interview, talking the budget and so much more, and other Benny J bonus interviews this weekend. Go check them out. That was your local news, brought to you by Frozen Cake.
I'm really going to miss celebrating my birthday with you, but I'll save you a piece of cake. I'll freeze it.
Oh, freeze it. Oh, God. Sounds good. Frozen Cake. That should be a rock group. Frozen Cake.
Right? Yeah. That and Punt Budget. That's a cool little name for a band, too.
Punt Budget. That's the budget. The official city of Chicago budget is a punt budget.
And speaking of, we got a little bit of time here. Any last things you'd like to say here? Because no show tomorrow or Friday. We're going to be back on Tuesday. By the time we come back, it'll probably be long gone from the news cycle. Any last words about what went down on the budget vote?
Yeah, it's really important that I emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, if you live in Chicago and you follow these things and you're a concerned taxpayer, this is effectively, what Dennis said, a punt budget. And the city of Chicago is facing enormous obligations in the middle of this pandemic, and it does not have the money coming in to pay these obligations. You know, all these things are projections anyway, and so they can't even realistically project the tax flow coming in the middle of, like, so many businesses shut down, the restaurant industry, as we just said. So they do the best they can to make very optimistic and cheery projections of future income, but by and large, they're stuck. And so, you know, they're refinancing loans, which will just lead to more money that we pay in future years. And they're clearly anticipating that the feds will kick in some stimulus money with Joe Biden, that Joe Biden will mean more money for cities like Chicago. So that's why I keep saying it is a punt budget. And so, yeah, they're punting it, and we'll be talking about this, D, for a long time to come. But the big battle in the city council yesterday really was like, it showed that there are three distinct sort of points of view at play in the council. There is the bunch of aldermen that are against any taxation, any property tax hikes at all. And essentially that's a coalition of people from the northwest and southwest side of the city and people downtown. Very interesting. Like everybody throughout the city pays property taxes, but it's just like somehow or other folks in the northwest side and the southwest side and the downtown area are very vociferous in their opposition to it, and their aldermen have taken notice and they can't vote for it. Then there's the lefties, people of my ilk, who are against the budget because they think it's regressive, that it's relies on fees and fines, et cetera, and so forth. And they doesn't think it taxes those well-to-do people downtown enough. And they want the mayor to think in terms of progressive terms. And they feel that she hasn't gone far enough in that area. And then there's Lori Lightfoot's, I would guess, her allies, who realize that there's only so much she can do, politically speaking. Without clearly she's not going to embrace the progressives, and so they'll go along with her, just like they went along with Rahm and they went along with Daley, and so yeah, that's essentially the dynamics. In the old days, the Northwest and the Southwest siders and the Gold Coast people would have voted for the mayor's tax hike, but they're sort of liberated these days, you know. Aldermen are not supposed to be rubber stamps anymore. So there's kind of a liberated feeling. And I got to say this about Lori Lightfoot. You know, she adjusted well enough on this front. She didn't cry about it too much. And she didn't worry if she got 48 votes or 35 votes, what have you. She was content with the majority. So, but that's the situation, D. That is the factionalization of Chicago. And I see we have a superstar with us, Monroe Anderson. He's joined us. We'll bring him on. Why don't we take a break and then bring on the great Monroe Anderson when we return? How about that?
Absolutely, everybody. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. We are live from my apartment in his attic. Monroe Anderson coming up. And hey, send us an email or any questions you have, anything. We're going to be jumping on and doing a little special show here, Ben and I, a Friday free-for-all. If there's anything you want to get on the show, send it to us. You can always leave us a voicemail as well, 708-658-4788. 708-658-4788 is the number that you want to call if you'd like to leave us a voicemail. You can send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com, at BennyJShow, BENNY, the letter J Show. We'll be right back, everybody. And when we come back, it's Monroe Anderson. I'm going to play a little bit of our interview with Jeanette Taylor during this break here. So check that out. And when that's over, Monroe Anderson. Don't go anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I bring to you the pride and joy of the 20th Ward, the woman we proudly call JT. People go, wait, you're talking about Justin Timberlake? No, there's only one JT in Chicago. Her name is Jeanette Taylor, and she's the alderwoman of the 20th Ward. Jeanette Taylor, thank you for coming on the show today.
You're more than welcome, Ben. How are you guys doing?
We're doing okay. And on the eve of Thanksgiving, and I'm speaking from my absolute heart, for everybody at the Ben Joravsky Show, thank you, Jeanette Taylor, for being who you are, for having the guts that you have, for having the courage that you have, and for taking the time to come on my little show and talking to me about it. So God bless you and happy Thanksgiving, Jeanette Taylor. I had to say that.
And it is a pleasure always.
All right. And part of the reason I'm so fired up, we've been talking about this all week. And it's really about, okay, today, Tuesday, there was a vote in the Chicago City Council, right, Jeanette? 29-21. The mayor got her budget passed. And Jeanette Taylor was one of the no votes. We'll get into that. But before this vote, there was a showdown, one of those meetings virtual meetings that nobody's invited to except for the people in the meetings, even though it's alderman and the mayor. And we've been talking about it a lot on the show. So, Jeanette, let's just sort of set the table for what went down today at the city council meeting. Why don't you talk about the infamous meeting with Mayor Lightfoot and the Black Caucus, where she said, "Don't come to me for shit if you don't vote for my budget." Take it away.
So that happened. So I'm on the Black Caucus and the Progressive Caucus. And because the Black Caucus, has 20 members, per the Opens Meeting Act, we can't all meet together. So they kind of separated us and we had a meeting with her. And so basically what she said was, anybody who doesn't vote on my budget, don't ask me for shit for 3 years. And I said to her, hey, so you mean to tell me as a new alderman, me voting against property taxes because I know that's not what my community wants, that's what we gonna do? And she was like, yeah, I'm tired of people playing games with me. They say one thing and then go vote different. I said, well, I've told you from the very beginning, I got the utmost respect for you, but I don't agree with you politically. And so if I don't agree with you, if it hurts my community, I'm gonna vote my way. And so that's basically how it was left. And I went to the media and said what she said because I didn't like it. And I actually had a conversation with her and just told her, like, that's not fair. We should, for my community to be taken care of. And that's what historically has been done.
Okay, that's all you get. To hear the rest of it, go to the Chicago Reader website, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, Jorav as in victory, SKY, or wherever else you download your favorite podcast. It's dropping tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day at 5 a.m. Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from Ben's attic.
Live from my attic and live from his house, Monroe Anderson, every Wednesday. And not a lot of Trump news. We'll get into some Trump news. Usually it's Trump, and Trump. Monroe, we're going to have to diversify a little. We're going to have to learn how to exist in a new world. No Trump world.
We're now in Biden's world.
Yeah.
Monroe, you're having some audio issues. Maybe do you have maybe speakers turned up or something?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe crank her down a bit. Sounds like we're in a spaceship.
Notice that? There's
Twice
very curious.
I think we're good now.
Okay.
No, I think there's
I think it's a volume
folks,
issue.
You can see this. There's two images of Monroe Anderson here, so I think he might be doubled down.
Yeah, he is doubled down. Good looking out, Ben.
Yeah.
All right, let's remove this one. I got it, Monroe. Whoa, this is spacey. Monroe, are you there?
Now let's try it.
There we go.
Okay.
It took a baby boomer to figure that out. That's the genius.
I had a window blocking it there, so I saw it. So now we're good.
That's correct.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get ready for the Biden era. That's what you were saying.
Biden, it's the Biden era now. In the meantime, we have the incredible shrinking man, Donald J. Trump, hiding out in his bunker and tweeting, and then taking a daily trip to the golf course. And that's it. He wasn't much of a leader before, and he's none of a leader now.
Yeah. We'll get into some Trump talk and Biden talk and some Rahm talk and all kinds of things. We'll get into national politics. But I want to, I told you I would do this, get your thoughts on David Dinkins, who the mayor of New York City from 1989 to 1993. The first and only black man elected mayor of New York City. Right. And coincidentally, his reign as mayor of New York followed just after you left City Hall as press secretary, Eugene Sawyer, who was...
actually, they overlapped.
Okay, briefly. By 1 month? Okay.
Yeah.
I said corrected.
Maybe. I met him. If we went to New York, now maybe he was a candidate at the time, but if memory serves me right, he was the actual mayor, just starting off. what I find really interesting is that he and Sawyer were of the same cast. You know, they were very much like soft-spoken gentlemen, not very aggressive, and both victims of big city racism.
Explain that. Go into that a little more. Both victims of big city racism. Go into that.
Okay, Sawyer lost to the factions of white Chicago. I mean, they set him up. They did him in. Now he had help from some black aldermen, of course, but he lost that way. And the mayor of New York, Dinkins, lost because of Rudy Giuliani and his racist campaign that he ran. Rudy pulled a Trump on Dinkins before Trump was Trump. By that I mean he ran this racist campaign against where he was scaring New Yorkers on everything. And then Rudy got in office, of course, and turned New York into a police state where they were harassing black people constantly, black men, stripping them down, and that continues or has continued until of late. Joyce and I were in New York City, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, and we had a black Element, Honda Element, and we were leaving town to go home to Chicago, and we had to cross one of the bridges. I forget which one, but anyway, we're in heavy traffic and meandering through crowded streets, and we had a cop on us, a New York cop tail on us, followed us for 15 minutes. Yeah, they were with us so long, I started to pull over and ask them if there was anything we needed to talk about. But they decided that was too dangerous. So I just kept driving. But literally, they trailed us until we got to the bridge, which went to New Jersey. And then they turned around and left. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but they could, we didn't have darker windows, so they could see that there were two black people in the car. We didn't have those. Yeah.
That was during the Rudy Giuliani years. The other thing, in addition to the heavy police tactics, they're similar between Chicago and New York. This is a general attitude that Dinkins and Sawyer had to confront. Follow me in this, Monroe. Okay. The notion that the city wasn't safe or secure if a diplomatic type like a Sawyer or a Dinkins was in charge, that you needed an authoritarian hand. And this is an attitude that's so just like ingrained in the minds. I could say that definitely Chicagoans. I just saw this in City So Real, the movie, the Steve James documentary. Been talking about this a lot. I know you haven't seen it yet, but there's a scene in a penthouse where all these well-to-do people are sitting around, and this white banker is opining that he really doesn't want to go back to the days of Harold Washington because it was chaos, and right. we have order now in Chicago. And I'm like, it always seems like it's just funny how people rewrite history in their own minds. But it just seemed like there was a coalition around Daley and around Giuliani in New York, where white people felt secure.
And Dinkins was trying to reform the police department back then. Because it was during his reign that the guy, what's his name? He was an African or a Haitian, and the cops stuck a broomstick up him, raped him with a broomstick before they killed him. I forget his name. But anyway, the New York cops were as bad as the Chicago cops. And Dinkins was trying to change that. And of course, he got the Kim Foxx treatment before Kim Foxx was Kim Foxx.
Yeah. He got the Kim Foxx treatment. Well, somehow or other she prevailed. Anyway, rest in peace, David Dinkins. I thought he did an admirable job as mayor of New York.
He did.
And I thought he was a class act, total class act.
And when there was a police protest that he, as ex-mayor, he attended a peaceful protest, and he was arrested along with Al Sampson. And he volunteered. He called Sampson and said he wanted to join him.
Sharpton, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Sharpton guy. Right? Yeah, right, exactly.
Al Sharpton.
There's a Reverend Al Sampson in Chicago, but that was Sharpton. Sorry.
Yeah. Al Sharpton. And just a funny contrast, great delight. When Giuliani defeated Dinkins, it was as though Dinkins, his reputation was damaged. It was Dinkins who had a retreat, and Giuliani was in full glory, like the emperor taking over New York, and people like bow down to the great Giuliani. And now look, the New York Times had an obituary praising Dinkins. I think they're a little embarrassed because they were part of that crew, like blaming Dinkins in ways that they would never blame a white mayor. And now Giuliani is a joke. Giuliani has become a national buffoon and a clown. And so in some ways, Dinkins' reputation is improved over the years, and obviously Giuliani is deteriorated.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, Giuliani has no reputation left. He will forever be known as the clown with the hair dye dripping down both sides of his face.
Yeah. By the way, it wasn't dye. It was hairspray. My wife has brought that up to my attention many times. Not dye. It's like a spray paint that he put on his hair.
Wait, why would he do that? That doesn't make. I can remember back in the days when he was mayor, he had this comb over that was ridiculous that he used to have. But he's good and bald now. So what was he spraying? Side nerves or something?
Yes, I don't know. I cannot.
I know what it is. His hair has turned white, and so he wanted to look like a younger man.
I see.
So he dyed it brown. That's what it is. No, because you can see pictures of him with white hair. I mean, white hair, not gray.
Yeah. No, it's Rudy. My advice to you is just let it go and be at peace with the process of life.
He wanted to be Secretary of State.
Yes.
Trump first got in there.
Yeah.
And Trump said at that time to some other people that Rudy had lost a step or two.
And so
4 years ago, so now he's lost a dozen or two steps.
Yeah, but somehow or other, it hasn't stopped Trump from hiring him as his attorney.
Right. This is why Trump does that, because Trump likes people who go on TV and defend him. And Rudy will do that anytime, the drop of a dime, even if it makes sense or doesn't. But he'll be right there, plug in for Donald.
Yeah, and so you're friends for life as long as you go on TV and plug for Donald.
Right, exactly. Well, and you've seen the photograph of Rudy in drag where he kisses Donald.
Yes.
They're fake, yeah. So they have a very close relationship, shall we say.
All right, now, before I lose connection to mayors and mayor talk, I got to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people come on my show of the leftist persuasion, very critical of Joe Biden for even remotely thinking of putting Rahm Emanuel in his cabinet. You have a different take. You don't think he's even thinking of it. Share your thoughts.
they slipped, they snuck Rahm out of D.C. in the middle of the night and put him in charge of Chicago instead, rigged it so he could be in charge of Chicago instead. He was not, with his typical charm, Rahm was not the greatest chief of staff that any president has ever had. So he does not hold that high of a reputation in the nation's capital.
Yeah, well, I know. I've always thought, based on the books I've read, I've always thought, based on the books I've read about the early years of the Obama administration, that essentially Michelle Obama told Barack Obama, get rid of him. And so you're right, they cut the deal. They ushered him in as Daley was leaving to be mayor of Chicago, and the dummies in Chicago ratified that deal, much to their later regret. And so they found a way to save face by moving Rahm out of Washington without admitting that it was a mistake to have him as chief of staff in the first place. And so, yeah, Biden was there for all that. So you would think he would have learned not to bring this guy.
Yeah, where's the rumor coming from? Do you know? Or is Rahm's rumor? Yeah, they're thinking about putting me on the cabinet.
I know, it is pretty funny. It's like the Tribune and Cranes. Yeah. Sources close to the Biden camp say that they're considering Rahm Emanuel. It's probably Rahm.
Yeah, because they're naming all the named people. I mean, that's being leaked already, and I haven't heard this leaked except any place but in Chicago about Rahm being on a cabinet.
Well, let me just say this, Joe Biden, you're going to have a very difficult time in the coming years dealing with the Trump crew in Washington. If you don't win Georgia, you're going to have a really difficult time dealing with Mitch McConnell in the Senate. The last thing you need is all the lefties mad at you for putting Rahm there. Just think about that.
Right. But because the lefties, although I don't think it's going to be a big problem initially. 2 years from now, it may be. But the lefties are not happy that they're not getting more positions in the cabinet than they thought they would.
More? I haven't seen any. We've just the national security. They're never going to put a lefty in national security. But we'll have to wait and see. But it's just an unforced error.
They want Elizabeth Warren, and they want Bernie on the cabinet. And I can't see that happening under any circumstances whatsoever. Not because of their politics, but because they are senators.
Yeah.
And President Biden is going to need every senator he can muster.
Yeah.
And especially those with some national prestige. He's going to need them in there fighting for him against the Republicans. Yeah. Especially now, if the Democrats win Georgia, and so it's a 50-50 situation, then obviously he's going to need them there. It won't be a 50-50 situation. For example, with Elizabeth Warren, you have a Republican governor. So if she leaves, the Republican gets to name the next senator until a special election is held. And he won't be naming a radical or lefty Democrat to replace a lefty Democrat. That won't happen.
He won't name any Democrat, lefty, radical, or what have you. That would be the dumbest move that Biden cannot possibly make that move.
No.
Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, that would be dumber than putting Rahm in the administration into the cabinet.
Right.
And Bernie.
And the thing is, what's amazing about Biden is he has played this this thing perfectly so far. I mean, the winning of the president, his campaigning was perfectly done, and his rollout, his transition is really impressive.
Why do you say that? You're really impressed with Joe Biden in a way. I'm not quite ready to jump on this bandwagon.
Right, exactly.
Not quite ready to jump on this bandwagon, but explain why you're so impressed with it.
Did you see the cabinet? The defense people. And
yes, the national security side of it. Yes,
exactly. Very impressive lineup, and unlike Trump's cabinet, Biden's cabinet looks like America 2021. Trump's cabinet looks like America 1955.
That's fair enough. Can't argue with that point.
Right.
I'm not doing this to defend Trump. Trust me when I tell you. I just, I hear you loud and clear.
You Bernie guys still trying to. Oh dear, I can't believe it. Biden is president, and he's going to be president, and he's doing a good job. He was the perfect man for this time.
I can't argue with any of this. That as a Bernie guy, it does sting a little bit, just a little, not a lot. Okay, just a little. I mean, I just want you to know, Monroe.
Yes.
I've been a good sport. I've never had a lefty win anything, and so I'm always going along with the centrists. I did it with Clinton. I did it with Obama. And I'm ready to do it.
Well, everybody thought Obama was a lefty.
No.
Yeah.
Come on.
They did. They thought he was. I mean, they didn't think it by the time it was over, or some did.
Listen, but Obama's greatest move, in my humble opinion, in those early days when he was positioning himself to run for higher office, was to show up at that anti-war rally in Chicago, and because that enabled him to position himself as anti-war in contrast to Hillary Clinton and help him win Iowa. And I know you're right. All those lefties in Iowa are like, well, he was against the war. He was, and Hillary was for the war. And all the lefties in Iowa voted for Obama. And then you know what happened next when he won Iowa. Black voters throughout America are like, whoa, white people voted for him. He can win, right, Monroe?
Right.
And the rest is history.
We got a shot at this.
Yes, we got a shot. By the way, are you loving the Obama, PR campaign for his book? Are you enjoying Obama's appearances? I see him. He's making appearances on YouTube shows and radio talk shows and TV shows, and he's being Obama. Are you enjoying that?
Right. Oh yeah. His people, when he was president, and he would occasionally do that. He would refer to himself. He would say, "The bear is unleashed." He's been. Of course, I think Key and Peele did a better job with it when they had his alter ego Luther. I think that was really the bear unleashed when they did that.
He's really enjoying himself. Obama's taking a victory parade. His arch enemy has been defeated, Donald Trump, and defeated by his vice president. So you know what I mean? You think about tit for tat. You know that moment at that the Washington press corps gathering in Washington, where Barack Obama gave the speech mocking Donald Trump while Trump was sitting there humiliating Trump after Trump had tried to undercut Obama with the birther stuff. Right. And so Trump got his revenge in 2016. And now here we are. It's like a wrestling match, Monroe. Here we are in 2020.
And what's really incredible about it is Trump, during the 4 years he was in there, did everything he could to get rid of everything Obama. He's trying to erase Obama's legacy completely, mainly through executive orders. And now, when Biden takes office on January 20th, the first day, he's going to issue a bunch of executive orders reversing Trump executive orders.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Trump is trying to protect his legacy by putting the most incompetent people in America in these key positions so they could do the things that Trump wants done, and trying to make it so that it won't be easy for Biden to overturn them.
I've not been able to, I haven't seen any updates since I've been on the air. Yesterday, the story broke in the New York Times, or at least that's where I saw it, that Donald Trump was considering pardoning Michael Flynn.
Yes.
And General Flynn, has he done that yet today? Well, I've been
no, he hasn't done that, but he's just warming up. You know, he before these 50 days or so are done, Trump is going to be like Oprah with the car. You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon. He's just going to go on and on with that. And in fact, there's some discussion as to whether he's going to try to pardon himself or not.
Yeah, we've had that conversation in the past. I don't know how he can pardon himself for stuff he hasn't officially been charged with yet. You know what I mean? Is he just like a general pardon?
No, you're right. No, a president can do that. A president can pardon not himself but others. I mean, that's how Nixon got away.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Gerald Ford.
Yeah. Right, exactly. He hadn't been charged with anything yet. He was going to be charged, but Ford
that's
said,
a valid point.
Right. And so Trump can do that, although it's going to be very interesting, to say the least, if he could actually pardon himself. And last but least, and pardon the one who needs to be most pardoned, me. and actually, what's the beauty of this whole thing is you only get pardoned if you've committed a crime, or you're more than likely committed a crime, like with Nixon.
Yeah.
You know, you and I are not going to get pardoned for anything.
No, because yeah, we haven't done anything. Well, there's also the state versus federal situation, because there's New York prosecutors coming after him. So I don't think he has jurisdiction. Although knowing Trump, that will not stop him from
trying. Yeah, from trying. But no, his problem is that there are some New York prosecutors that have big targets on him, and the red light from the sight on the gun is on the middle of that target.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, right. Legally speaking, yes.
Legally speaking. The other thing he's clearly trying to do is, in any way he can, is to sabotage Joe Biden's administration, even before it begins, even before he's officially conceded. Still hasn't conceded that he lost.
And the president of China has congratulated Biden today. Ching.
Mm-hmm. The president of China did it before the president of the United States.
Yes.
I don't think he'll ever congratulate Biden, but the most toxic thing he's doing is, he has his Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, take the stimulus money. I think it's $455 billion unspent stimulus money, put it back into Treasury. So Biden will need legislative authority to get access to it. This is money that's already been approved for Americans who really need it.
Right.
And so this is just a shameful act of sabotage that's hurting Americans.
Exactly. And if it had been for building the wall, then Trump would have left it alone.
Yeah, if Trump would have left it alone. And this is where I would like to see the Democrats a little more forceful, in terms of criticizing that and drawing attention. Trump would have done it, Monroe.
Oh, I know. No, the thing is, Trump is doing right now as we speak, he's doing horrible things, and he's not doing things that are and being horrible in the process. for example, no leadership whatsoever on COVID-19. You think that it was over and that we could all be partying like it's 1999 or something. The Democrats I don't know how much they're doing, but they ought to be in Georgia just Trump drum about how bad Trump is, and that unless they get the two Democratic Senate candidates in the Senate, that Trumpism will continue even without Trump in the White House.
You know, I'm generally a sort of a pessimistic person when it comes to predicting victory for my teams. I've been conditioned to assume the worst just by years of being a lefty in politics and years of being like a Bulls fan, except for those 6 Jordan years. My teams usually don't do well.
And you're a Cubs fan too, right?
Cubs fan and White Sox. I like them both. And I'm actually at the moment, I just cannot, just to share this with you, Monroe, I cannot follow the Bears. They're so disgraceful. Every time I look at their quarterbacks, I just think of the quarterback they didn't take. So, but I'm used to losing with the Bears too, okay? But at the moment, I'm just ignoring it.
I'm beginning to suspect that the Bears are just having a hard trouble with having a black quarterback.
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
And they're suffering for it.
Yes. They won't admit it. That never will get discussed in the city. But having said all that, I had this tinge. Yesterday we were talking to Miles Conflassen from In These Times. When I was listening to Miles, I was like, could the Democrats possibly win both seats in Georgia and snatch the Senate from Mitch McConnell? Is that what the tea leaves are saying? Now, Monroe, you don't have this concern. I really have always appreciated that in you. You're not like in a fetal position going, we're going to lose. We're going to lose.
Because I think we're going to win Georgia. I think we're going to take Georgia. And I think I've said this on your show. The reason is that the Democrats have a ground game. They have 800,000 new voters that they've registered, and they have plans to get them out to vote. The Republicans are trying to catch up. Although I saw a report today that the Republicans do have a serious organizing effort on Hispanics, and that may make the difference as well.
I don't know. I saw that same article. I read that same article. And I've always been reading articles about the Republicans and Hispanic voters. And, it's just such a...
The Cubans made a difference in Florida, and I guess it was Mexicans in Texas.
Yeah, but here's the reality is it's like when I read those articles, the people who are writing them, they have this underlying assumption that there is a quote unquote Latino or Hispanic prototype.
Yeah.
And it's such an erroneous assumption. Right. You got to know it's a very diverse community that's been clumped into one.
Exactly. And in Chicago, I can't speak for the entire country, but in Chicago, the Mexicans don't like the Puerto Ricans and vice versa. I mean, they don't hate each other, but they don't like each other. The Puerto Ricans were referring to this is back from my political days, back in the 80s, of course. But the Puerto Ricans were referring to the Mexicans as pie faces because of the round feature. And I forgot what the Mexicans referred to the Puerto Ricans as.
Yeah, well, there's obviously these rivalries within the city, although I will point out that Luis Gutierrez, who was Puerto Rican, was the congressman year after year in a district that was largely Mexican American. And then he became a champion of immigration rights, which doesn't even affect Puerto Ricans because they're already citizens. Right. So in Chicago, I think there's more of a unity than like you said, Cuban Americans in Miami, Mexican Americans on the border with who live in Texas on the border with Mexico. I mean, it's just Mexican Americans who live in Nevada or Arizona. It's just different groups of voters. It's so the notion that, well, Republicans are making inroads with Latinos in Georgia. It's like so weak and lazy. By the way, Trump got 28% according to an exit poll, and we can't even trust those. No. So I don't know if that's going to be you get what I'm saying? But if they could take away from the fact that it was like all white people lined up who voted for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to send them back to Congress, to the Senate, so they could be Mitch McConnell's puppets. If they could somehow or other blame some Hispanic guy in Georgia, the media will do that. Monroe, I'm just saying. I just been reading these stories for a long time.
Yeah, well, we've got to watch Georgia, but I can easily see the two Democrats going.
Well, I'm really hoping that would be, and then ultimately your prediction would have come true, and that's where I want to close it. I want to say I gave you a shout out in my reader newsletter today. I haven't sent it to you, but I will after the show. I was giving thanks. I gave myself thanks. I said that from the start of the year until now, I was beaming out vibrations to defeat Donald Trump. I was trying to manifest it, as the millennials say. But I go, the ultimate manifester is Monroe Anderson. This dude has been talking trash about Donald Trump from the moment he walked down the stairs to announce he was running for president.
He didn't walk. He rode there. I mean, that's they've been doing this Sleepy Joe thing when they were trying to beat Biden, and in the meantime, Biden is jogging up to him, and Trump is dragging along like, well, once I start talking, I get animated, but up until then, I need to catch my breath.
But by the way, you'll get a kick out of this. I don't know. I just looked at Trump's one of his last. He hasn't been tweeting that much. I guess he's just tired at the moment. But he tweeted out
he's embarrassed. I mean, he has been humiliated, and he can't figure out a way to excuse it or spin it or lie about it, and he's trying, but none of it's working. And so he canceled his trip to Mar-a-Lago for Thanksgiving. And that's because normally he would be down there glad-handing with his rich pals. Screw COVID-19, who cares about that? But he doesn't want to look them in the eye and then look at him, whisper to him, yeah, he sure did get his butt beat.
Yeah, well, I don't feel so. Anyway, but he had this one tweet that said a Newsmax poll, according to a Newsmax poll, which of course is the right-wing outlet, that's even more to the right than Fox. Yeah. When asked, did Joe Biden cheat to steal the election, 98% said yes or something like that. Wow. If only the country were run by Newsmaxes.
Oh, Donald Trump. No, it's too close. It's too close for that to begin with. If Nixon had Newsmax and Fox, he never would have been chased out of office. They would have him in office.
That's right. That's how much things have deteriorated. All right, Monroe, I hope you have a really happy Thanksgiving. I assume it's going to be a quiet one.
Yes. Me and the missus, and that's it.
It's going to be. We have a turkey at least.
Oh yeah. I'm barbecuing a turkey. Yeah. We'll have a very nice turkey. I've decided I'm going to have a Thanksgiving dinner as I would if I had family there, but it'll just be the two of us. So
we'll have a great Thanksgiving, and same to Joyce, and stay safe and sound. And we'll talk to you next Wednesday, all right?
Yeah. If Trump is still in office. Trump may have left us. He may go to Mar-a-Lago or just stay. Just say, I'm tired of trying to pretend like I want to run the country anymore. Now that I lost, I'm done. I'm quitting.
Well, we'll see. We still have Trump at least until January, even if he's hiding out in Mar-a-Lago. And I got a feeling Mitch McConnell will be an adequate substitute for Trump, and more Trump.
Yes. Yes.
All right, very good. That's Monroe Anderson. Thank you very much. D, you got any updates for me?
Absolutely, I do. We're going to do the back half here. Everybody have a safe and happy holiday. We'll be back on Tuesday. First off here. Oh, also, by the way, we're going on holiday mode. Not a lot of news going on to talk about. We're going on holiday mode. Everybody else is on holiday mode. Monroe, we're going to let you go there, Monroe. All right, there we go. Okay, had to get rid of Monroe there. That was a good interview with Monroe you had there, Ben.
Yeah, don't quite put it that way. How to get rid of it. Yeah, but I understand he had to cut the photo there. It was like technical talk, yes.
He was still on the line, yeah.
Okay.
Apologies. All right, let me do the news here. Sorry, I just need a little more setup when you let go of these guests, and I'll be able to knock that out just fine. All right, let's today's back half here. Not a lot of news going on. Make sure you download our Benny J bonus interviews and bonus content while we are away. Tuesday, we're going to have a brand new program for you. But, Ben, we have birthday announcements to talk about. That's right. We would like to wish a happy birthday to a few local political figures and reoccurring characters on the Ben Joravsky Show. People who will be celebrating a birthday over the holiday. We have a Thanksgiving Day birthday. State Senate President Don Harmon is celebrating a birthday on Thanksgiving, along with former state rep Lou Lang.
Lou Lang. I know the players in the game, Benny. Is that Lou Lang?
That Lou Lang, yeah. They're going to be celebrating birthdays on Thanksgiving Day. Friday, no one really we talk about, so we're just going to move on to Saturday. On Saturday, a happy birthday goes out to Highland Park Mayor and apparent frozen cake lover, Nancy Rodering.
I'm really going to miss celebrating my birthday with you, but I'll save you a piece of cake. I'll freeze it.
That's what she was taught, celebrating her birthday. Her birthday's on Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. Frozen cake for everyone.
Who doesn't love a good frozen cake? And on Sunday, a great American writer will have a birthday. Yeah, some call him former Chicago mayor. Some call him an avid bike rider.
I just biked around Lake Michigan, nearly 1,000 miles.
But I call him a great American writer. Mr. Biden, please keep him as far away as possible. Your boy Obama fired him for a reason. It's Rahm Emanuel. Yeah, he's having a birthday on Sunday, Ben.
Let me just say happy birthday, Rahm, Mayor Rahm. And I hope you enjoy your frozen cake. Okay, frozen cake. Maybe Mayor Nancy can make you some frozen cake.
Oh, yes, he'd only be so lucky.
Yes, a great Chicago writer. That is pretty funny. The debate continues. Does he ever write any of the things that are under his byline? Has he ever read any of the things under his byline?
Also,
happy birthday, Mayor Rahm. You've given us a lot of good material down through the years by trying to destroy this beloved city. Go ahead.
That was very nice of you. Got a little dark there at the end, but hey, that was a nice little message there. And also celebrating a birthday on Sunday, Chicago Federation of Labor President Bob Ryder.
What day is that?
On Sunday.
Happy birthday, Bob Ryder, and thank you very much for supporting our show and standing by me after I got fired. So a genuine happy birthday to Bob Ryder.
All right, and as we were saying there, Rahm Emanuel, the rumor is, hopefully, good God, it's not true, that Rahm Emanuel may have a shot at a cabinet position with Joe Biden. And speaking of Joe Biden, the president-elect reached out to our current Chicago mayor recently.
We usually spend Thanksgiving together, but I'm glad you understand that this is the right thing.
During a Tuesday presser, Mayor Lori Lightfoot said Joe Biden's team has reached out to her office. Lightfoot said, quote, "It was like a breath of fresh air, given what we've been through over the last 4 years. But we need action. We need action now in order to save those businesses that are struggling, in order to meet the needs of our most vulnerable residents."
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And this has sort of been the theme of the week. Much of the mayor's budget is anticipating money coming in from the feds. I think J.B. Pritzker's doing that as well. That's why they're so happy, among other things, that Donald Trump is gone. Maybe we'll have a new administration that's serious about assisting people who are in dire need. And it's really no joke. I mean, we had some fun with the COVID announcements that the mayors from around the Chicago area, including Lori Lightfoot, made. Obviously, they're acting debuts, but a lot of industries and a lot of are struggling with the pandemic. A lot of people are losing out of work, and the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago need assistance from Washington. And I am hoping, just like Mayor Lori Lightfoot is, that assistance comes now that Biden is in office. So much of it will be contingent on winning the Senate. I can't see, at least in this current situation, Mitch McConnell, if he's in charge of the Senate, being agreeable to helping cities like Chicago or states like Illinois. I just can't see. He's so lodged in to MAGA America, and it's this sort of antipathy, this hatred they have for blue states and blue cities. It would take just a major transformation of Mitch McConnell. You know, I've seen transformations like that happen with Southern white Republicans. I recall Strom Thurmond, who was the most outspoken racist and segregationist, ran for president on a segregationist party with third party. In the 80s, began to move, Strom Thurmond did, into just sort of a more, open-minded attitude towards civil rights. Remember Harold Washington, when he was a congressman, right before he became mayor, having to negotiate with Strom Thurmond on the civil rights bill. So it is possible. It is possible that these right-wing Southern politicians can make that transition. But I just don't see it happening with Mitch McConnell, with MAGA so strong in this country, with the Republican Party controlled by the Trumpsters. So it really is going to come down to Georgia if Joe Biden is going to be able to command the support he needs to help cities like Chicago and states like Illinois. So that's why I'm really rooting. My Thanksgiving wish is, come on, Democrats in Georgia, because so much is at stake with that election. If McConnell holds on to and it really, it really hurts me to say this, that's where the National Republican Party is. Eric Zorn, one of the good, decent liberal writers at the Chicago Tribune, happy Thanksgiving to you, Eric, and your family, wrote a column the other day about Adam Kinzinger. He's giving a shout out to Adam Kinzinger, who is the Republican congressman from the 16th Congressional District. Now, personally, I was for Danny B in that election. Kinzinger defeated Danny B in that election. Danny B was a Democrat. But Kinzinger was one of the few Republicans who, in the aftermath of the election, acknowledged the obvious, that Joe Biden had won, and chided Trump for trying to create this notion that the election was stolen. And so Eric, gave him a shout out and said it's Republicans like that that we need to be our allies going forward. And so he says it's incumbent upon him to give them credit when they deserve it. So I have to agree with him. I have to agree with Eric Zorn on that point. When a Republican does the right thing, you got to give him credit. You know what I'm saying? We gave old boy Jim Durkin credit. It's true the bar was low with Durkin, but I had to give him credit. When he chastised that protester at the swastika, the Nazi slogan, at least he said this does not represent the Republican. Had to give Durkin credit for that. Big Rauner support, but I had to give him credit for that. All right. It's one thing to support Bruce Rauner and his union busting tactics. It's another thing to coddle Nazis or people who have the swastika, a sign with the swastika on it. So had to give Durkin credit for that. And so you're right, Eric. Let's give a shout out to Adam Kinzinger. But will that harmony, common sense, Will that desire for bipartisanship exist in a Senate controlled by Mitch McConnell in the era of President Joe Biden? I'd like to think the answer is yes, but I see no evidence that it will be yes. And so that's why Georgia is so important for cities like Chicago and states like Illinois. So, yeah, it's great that Joe Biden called Lori Lightfoot, but unfortunately, that aid is not guaranteed, D. There's still this very important election ahead of us.
All right, and we do have a sneak peek on how that phone call went down.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think. If you think we
No offense, fuck you then. Who are you going to tell me I'm full of shit?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Hey, come on. Come on, separate corners right now, okay? I don't think we'll ever get tired of playing that, D. It's so, you know, the movie's called City So Real. That Chicago's so real. I think they should do all of their meetings, you know, with these virtual meetings behind closed doors, and then some alderman should leak them. That's my advice. Then we'll know what they really say and how they really think. That's how we found out. It was not literally a tape, but Jeanette Taylor blew the whistle on Lori Lightfoot for her abusive comments to the black alderman. So anyway.
Well, you're missing one more step in that, too. Leak them and then give us the audio first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like that's going to happen.
We need that exclusive. Damn.
Speaking of virtual meetings, Dave Glowacz will be here on Tuesday, I want to say. He's going to break down when we come back from Thanksgiving, he'll have the full breakdown of the city council meeting where they pass the budget. And this is one of my favorite segments. Glowacz does such a great job of having the bits that we then riff on. So, we'll take the deep dive with Dave Glowacz. And I got a feeling there'll be no great moments like Raylo going at it with Lori Lightfoot.
All right, so there it is, everybody. We're going to be gone for Thanksgiving and on Friday as well, but we have downloadable interviews for you to, download while we're away. And on Tuesday, back to regular programming, all right? And we're going to be making that transition over to the Chicago Reader YouTube channel as well. So be on the lookout out there. And that's it.
I want to thank Monroe Anderson. Outstanding job as he always does. And I want to thank absolutely all our listeners for your support and just all the emails and the texts that you send me. Frank, I want to thank you in particular, keeping me informed because, I'm on the air. I miss many of the news stories as they break. So thank you to all the listeners. And, of course, special thank to the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of joy in Alton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as Frank and Monroe and Mayor Lori Lightfoot all agree, back home in Alton, they call him Dr. D. And D, give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash, and have some pumpkin pie with it. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Play the radio. Play the radio. Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear word.
Nearly 1,000 miles. Nearly 1,000 miles. I just biked around Lake Michigan.